Hello, everybody. It's 12:53 p.m. Central Time on the 9th of June, 2021. As we were starting up there, my whole system froze and the stream crashed as soon as I started running my intro. As soon as I fire up the intro, all of a sudden the stream just died. I just watched it live happen. Wow. Okay, well, if you're watching on Twitch, you probably just shut off and came back on. I don't know how that could have happened other than, I don't know. Anyway. We're here to talk about seismic events, not talk about stream events. If you're not aware, of course, you're on the Earthquake 3D live stream. We're using the USGS and the EMSC coming out of Europe to give us a good idea of what struck over the past few days. And about 4 days ago, I issued new warnings for the United States. That's the point of getting on here right now to let everybody know. New Jersey has been struck by a rare earthquake over on the eastern edge of the North American Craton. And I had issued a warning for New Jersey across New York from the Canada border down to New Jersey. And let me turn on a display capture so you can see a little bit better what I see. And we will click on the earthquake from the USGS. They have it at 2.4. We had warned for up to 3.4, maybe even up to 4. About a magnitude off, magnitude and a half off, and location spot on. You see New Jersey. We'll click on the USGS map, eastern side, northeast side of Atlantic City, no less. And that's pretty interesting. So I'd like to get the coordinates, go put them in, go see what's there. It's not a consequential earthquake. It didn't cause any damage, but it's consequential for earthquake forecasting. For all the people who said that earthquakes couldn't be forecast, they're up against they put themselves in a rock and a hard place, no pun intended. They're going to have to correct themselves and retract what they said. Now, here we go. We're at Little Egg Harbor Township. We'll zoom in a little bit. Got houses there, of course. Looks like it's pretty right in there. Beautiful. And looks a little bit mangrove-ish, a little swampy down in there. Going along the East Coast, I don't see anything of any significance nearby. I don't see any large power generating stations, no oil wells. Looks pretty nice to me. Now, this would be just a craton earthquake, a natural quote-unquote earthquake, as it goes up the coast along the eastern edge of the North American Craton. However, what do we have right here? Hold on. What is this? What is all that? I have no idea what that is. It looks like we have a little bit of mining going on out there, but this to me looks almost military. Like you see something like that on a military base of some kind. But I might be wrong. I don't know what this area is right here. Lacey Township. Doesn't have anything marked. Don't have any borders or place marks there. Let's turn on our places, see if that's going to do anything for us. Looks like some kind of reserve of some kind. Coyle Field is the name of that location. Anyway, to get something big and open like that isn't exactly rare on the East Coast. They do have large open natural forest preserves, but just keep an eye out there. I don't know what's there other than to tell you an earthquake struck there on the edge of the Craton, and it's been months and months and months since we've had any activity there. So how did we know to look? It was the previous middle point between our previous sets of earthquakes. New York, New Jersey. We had an earthquake down here to the south in the Carolinas, earthquake up here to the north, up at the Canada border, and the halfway point between the two was New Jersey, New York. That's how we were able to determine the spot. It's called a fulcrum point, that halfway point between the sets of earthquakes, and whether it's a small area, a few hundred miles across, or whether it's thousands and thousands of miles across. The middle points between our sets of earthquakes get hit because of a standing wave that's spreading out across vast distances. And I show this in almost all my updates, the standing wave in the laboratory tank. Now, they pump more energy into this tank by just pushing these ends towards each other or pulling them out away from each other. So these move either end and it pumps more energy into the fluid if they push together. Now, what you see is organization in the tank. It's not chaotic waves. The waves actually combine and increase in their power, their amplitude, well, their magnitude. And imagine this like a 4 and a 4 and a 4 and a 4 going across thousands of miles. Or like on the east coast of the United States, a 2 and a 2 and a 2 and a 2. Or, well, near 3 and a 3 and a 3 and a 3, basically, is what we're talking about, mid-range to upper 2s. So the standing waves spread out across vast distances, but where do they come from? They come from our deep earthquakes that are placed all around the globe where our letter Ds are. The letter Ds don't move. We watch these letter D points for new deep earthquakes to take place. They're forecast area points. And then spreading out and away from those deep quakes, that's where we see our spreads go all the way around the planet and get over here onto the west coast of the United States, and then spread across the United States, across the Craton, over to the east coast of the United States. But the pushes come from the west coast. And the reason I issued the warning for New Jersey is the same reason I issued a warning for Salton Sea. And Salton Sea got hit directly. It had been months since any 5.0 activity had struck at Salton Sea. Got it down to a day's warning, so we warned them the day before, and then it hit the next day. And then 3 days later, East Coast gets hit. Along the way, you can see the path of earthquakes going down through Texas. Back across the Midwest, the New Madrid seismic zone, for instance, where I live here in Missouri. And then going up the East Coast. So that spread is normal, going down through Texas, back across the East Coast. We want to see that happen. And it goes back to the start of the week, when that 5.9 to 5.9s struck off the coast of Oregon, up here at the Juan de Fuca fracture zone, right where these smaller earthquakes are right now. 2 5.9 struck there across 13 miles in the course of 30 minutes. 13 miles broke apart. Then the next day, Southern California moves. Then the next day after that, yesterday, a line of quakes went across the Midwest, you can see it here on the screen, and gave way to new earthquakes today on the East Coast. So we went from 5s to 4s to 3s to 2s across the plate. That's a step down each region that we go across. But really, it's losing a magnitude each bend in the craton, right? So we go from 5s down to a bunch of 3s in Texas, for instance, down at the bend. Then we go up into Oklahoma. By the time we get over to the New Madrid seismic zone, we take another step down to combined total of a 3. And then we go from there up the East Coast, and we go to a combined total of 2. So 1 magnitude's absorption across the plate each step of the way means there's going to be new earthquakes breaking out between our current sets of earthquakes. And that gets into a hot mess of a bunch of earthquake activity coming in the next several days. So for instance, you see where the rings overlap over here on Arizona, where between the 5 down in Southern California and the 3s over in Texas. A rare earthquake should break out here, right at the Arizona-New Mexico border region, where the pink meets the whitish-colored rings. Guess what's right there? The Geronimo volcanic field, the place where the American Geophysical Union guy accused me of fraud and said there was no volcanoes there. He didn't know about the volcanic field there. Instead, it was easier for him to accuse me of making it all up, right? Yeah, anyway, a 5.0 earthquake struck there several years ago, right where the rings overlap on that volcano there, where they denied that there was a volcano there for some reason. Makes you wonder why they were denying there was a volcano there, right? Anyway, now we're back there again, should get hit. Now there's another spot, and it's a really hot mess to see. It's where all the rings overlap down here in southwest Oklahoma, right at the Texas border. That's our second spot to watch. That's going to get hit too. Now the magnitudes on these should be a step above where we are now. So 3.4, we should go up as high as 4 in both spots. And Oklahoma is still on the warning list for 5. We have 2 more days to go in the warning. We're 4 days in. Wait, actually 3 more days. We're 4 days in on the 7-day watch. Now that gets me over to California. California still has 3 days to go in a 7-day watch for the Bay Area and the California-Nevada border right over here south of Long Valley, north of Ubehebe Craters. And the 2 other spots in California are supposed to get 5.0 range activity, 4.9. 4.9. Yeah, I adjusted it to 4.9 just for the sake of it, guys. So we're going to, again, still watch here. We have 3 more days to go. Bay Area and California-Nevada border right here. But even one of the 3 areas being hit is, they said it was impossible to forecast even 1 earthquake. But when I'm looking for 3 and 1 hits, that's 33% of the total forecast on something they said was impossible. But So anyway, we're still watching here. 3 more days to go, and it's flowing over to the East Coast already. But it's, like I said, it's a magnitude under across the board, which means we're still going to get outbreaks as it tries to flow across the plate. So am I going to miss on Bay Area and California-Nevada border? I never say now until the last day. There's been so many times we get to day 7 and the earthquakes hit. So I wait till the last. But 1 is enough right there. Southern California, look. And New Jersey, come on. I mean, there'll be somebody who's like, oh, you forecast for a 3.5 and a 2.4 hit. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever, man. You said it was impossible, so there it is. I'm still trying to get the magnitudes down perfectly, guys. And I'm a one-man operation on something that I'm a high school grad, too. I don't even know how to compute a magnitude. I don't want to learn either, man. You think I want to learn how to? I'm not good at math. Come on. It's not even called math. It's called what? Mathematics? Right. You can tell I'm not good at it. I don't even know how to refer to it. So now let's go over to the west. Let's talk about the big open area over here, past this cluster in Indonesia. By the way, Aussies, you did get your prawns off the bobby, because guess what? Perth got hit. You don't see it here because USGS ignores all the small earthquakes everywhere that the science agency they're not reporting all the earthquakes. Anyway, Southern Australia, Southwest got hit by 2 point something last night. And that's the first step. And we're watching for Perth. We're watching for Kangaroo Island. We're watching for Uluru. And then, to let us know something's really coming in, we had our 4.5. You see it here. 3.2 struck again. But this is on the east side of the arrow. So let's just look at it this way. From this earthquake to this earthquake and across the arrow, a big push is coming in. And it already went down to Perth, shaking a little bit. But we're going to expect it to carry on in this trajectory. And then that puts you down here to the southeast, as well as Uluru in between the two, in the mix. So get ready for it. Now, is it going to be that big? I hope not. I don't think so. I think it's going to be in the 3 range, so, I mean, you might feel a little shaky. All right, now, the 5's going up to the north, but look what's over to the west. Hush, hush. Once we go over to western China, we pick back up with 4's, but this whole area, quiet for a day and a half. No seismic release. I'm going to have to go check the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center. Go see what... Whoa! Well, hey, I'm glad I checked. A 40,000-foot-high blast just happened at Mount Semeru in Indonesia. High-level eruption up to 40,000 feet. FL400. Luatolo went up to 7,000 feet. That's right next to it over in Indonesia. Oh, anybody else? Wow. 40,000 feet. 14,000 feet at Suwanese Jimbo. Man, we're picking up in the size of the blast in the West Pacific. Karimsky up in Northwest Pacific, up in Russia. But come on, man. A 40,000-foot high blast at Mount Semeru? Let's go pull up Semeru. I already know where it is, but let's just get the Semeru, Indonesia. There it is. Wow. 40,000. Okay, so this is on top of the seismic that's taking place. And when you see where the volcano is, it's going to make all the sense in the world. It's the spot where I was just telling you is totally open and quiet. There is Java. Here is Sumatra. We'll back it out a little bit further. Do you see? So Semeru is right here in eastern Java. Let's get down and show you right there. Boom. Well, we got an earthquake next to it, too. Are you shocked? An earthquake next to a 40,000-foot high blast. I bet you that that's the signature of the blast. So wait a second. Aussies, you're moving down here to the south. Up here on the north side, you got a 40,000-foot high blast. Everything beyond it, hush, hush, quiet. And back behind it, it's like a roadblock. Or a dam holding back the flow. And the flow is going up to the north, up to Japan, which also has a new series of blasts down at Suwanese-jima, which is somewhat rare to get a 14,000-foot high blast there, and 7 and 14. Go further to the north. Up here, we have Karimsky. Up here at the Kamchatka Peninsula. Oh, Luatolo is also in there, and Luatolo is right over here. I want to say it's right in here. Okay? So, Semeru, Luatolo going up here to the north. Dukono, we always talk about that. Don't even really need to mention that. Suwanizajima in South Japan and up here. So that's an increase. Anytime I see 40,000 foot high blast, anything above 20 is big, but 40 is huge, and 50 just gets into the level where we're massive. So it's right below stratospheric level right there. But what could cause a 40,000 foot high blast? What could cause Australia to be displaced? Well, we go back over here in our deep earthquakes. We had a deep 5.6 just a day and a half ago. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Had to clear my throat. Okay. So, deep earthquakes. Deep 5.6, marked in pink from a day and a half ago. We go downstream. We get a bunch of 5s. And then, boom, we get a big blast as the flow is stuck in Indonesia. But our principles apply. Where our rings overlap, that's where new earthquakes are going to strike. So, we have an open spot here at New Caledonia. 6.5 is due there, going over as far west as the Solomon Islands, Solomon Sea. But I'm going to look right here next to the deep earthquake for that first 6.5. Then we get over here to Indonesia, and this is the craziest thing, guys. I've got a warning going right here for 6.5 activity, and then right next to it, on the edge of it, I mean, that's 1,000 miles, but going around the bend of the plate, come on, a new 40,000 foot high blast on the western edge of the area where I've got a warning going for a 6.5 plus earthquake to strike. Now, I won't call that an earthquake forecast hit. It's just a sign that something's coming in. I mean, come on, down to Australia and over to the west, the big blast. Up to the north we go, and we still have a warning going right here where both sets of rings overlap at Okinawa, and another warning going over here at the Izu Ridge. Should both be in the mid-range 5 level. By the way, speaking of mid-range 5 level, how about Japan getting hit yesterday by mid-range 5? 5.3 striking off the eastern coast of Japan, and then up here on the coast of Honshu, a new 5. Take them, add them together, it equals 5.4. We had warned for 5.5 total energy. So there it is. It's on the coast of Japan, but the spots where we have the current warnings going are here, at Okinawa, and here. The halfway points between the sets of quakes to the north and to the south, and the north and the south. Again, it's just, you find the halfway point, just like New Jersey. New Jersey was the halfway point between the earthquake up in Canada and the earthquake down on the east coast of the United States, down at the Carolinas, and the halfway point was Jersey. Well, halfway point over here brings us right in at Okinawa. Halfway point between the sets of quakes. And right here. Oh, by the way, 2 days ago there was a 4.9 right there. Nishinoshima volcano is right there. I wonder if it's going to start erupting. Over to China we go, and I've got a warning going at Myanmar, still yet to be fulfilled. There's nothing there, so we have a warning going at the India-Myanmar border region. This is India, believe it or not, right here, and this is Myanmar. And right in between the two, they have the border. That's where the warning's going. Take all these 4s in the Mid-East, coming out of China and going over into Afghanistan, and add it up, and it equals about 4.6, 4.7. We're going to look for a new 4.6 to 4.7 to come in on the plate boundary down here to the south, which puts us right next to the Pakistan border. Pakistan is the east, Iran is to the west. So right at the Iran-Pakistan border region. Down to the south, we have a 4.5 in the Gulf of Aden. You see, there's a split here. And Africa, just to the south, near Ugongo volcano, with its big eruptions on this side of the fold. And I'm going to say it, look, anytime we see activity coming in from up here, we have to watch on the arrow heading down to the south. And who's on the way on the arrow down to the south? Between our X and our earthquake, who's smack in the middle? If you go around this bend and curve, near Ugongo volcano, or right close to it, it's close to halfway point. So we have incoming energy to the north. We hope it curls around and goes up to the north, following the greater arrows. Let's go back and show you on the plate boundary map. We hope for the best, always, but plan for the worst. So while you're hoping it goes one way, you hope it goes up to the north. Chances are it's like a split in a river. The chances of it not going the other direction is pretty slim. Like, if this is a flood and this is a fork in a river, are you going to expect the other fork just to not get anything? Or is the water going to split both ways and it's going to prefer the bigger channel, but the smaller channel to the south is also going to flood, right? Usually. So we should expect a new increase down in Africa, seismically speaking. Nyiragongo volcano is along the way, so I would think that seismically speaking, we'd see an increase back at Nyiragongo volcano, and they might start to worry that there's going to be a new blast. I would say this is not big enough to cause new blast activity, the flow that's coming in now. You got to remember, what caused the big blast was 3 sets of big earthquakes. Well, actually, those didn't cause the blast. The plate shifting caused the blast, which caused the earthquakes as well. The Indo-Australian plate was shifting. Now it's just a little spread going out and around. Hope I got that right. If I'm wrong, I'll get back on and talk about it. If I'm right, I'll get back on and talk about it. 4.4 earthquake striking next to Rhodes yesterday, as well as a new 4-point-something earthquake striking in Croatia. It started out as a 5 up in here. Look at how far they took it down. A full magnitude. I don't know. I issued a warning for a 5. All of a sudden a 5 hits, and all of a sudden they change it to a 4. Really weird, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose. I'm just saying it's weird. It's freaking me out at this point. It would freak you out too if you issued a warning for a 5, and then a 5 hits, and then they start doing this weird downgrade stuff and to get it down to a 4, and you have personally set your own threshold of a 1 magnitude error range. And so then they start, I don't know, it's weird. Poland has yet to be hit, but we're still 3 days left to go in the warning. Energy has flowed out across Morocco, and it might be a strikeout for me down here in North Africa on Algeria. We're down to the last day on that warning. I issued the warning the day before, so we're on day 6 of a 7-day watch for Algeria to get a 5. So I don't know if that's going to matter to anybody. It matters to me. Where's the energy? It's still trapped between Italy, Croatia, Greece. Has not flowed out over to the west or up around through Poland yet, which means it's all still trapped in the Mediterranean. As a matter of fact, since it's still trapped in the Mediterranean, let's just look where the rings overlap. Oh, rings overlap where? This is first time look for me. Right here. Okay, this is Albania. This is Albania going down into Greece. We have Bulgaria over to the east. And on the north side, we have Bosnia and Montenegro. So where the rings overlap? Albania. Almost called it Algeria. Algeria's down here. Albania's right here. So we watch, and we watch for something bigger than what's on both sides. So if we have a 4.2 on one side and a 4.4 on the other, that means 4.5 or greater should strike in the middle. Again, just add them together. 4.4 plus another 4 equals 4.5, basically. You're just adding on a point every time you add a new 4 on. And it's the same thing for 5s or 6s or 7s or whatever. If you add 2 6s together, you get 6.2. Add 3 6s together, you get 6.3. 4 6s together equals 6.4. Pretty easy, right? Same with the 4s. Add 2 4s together, you get 4.2. 3 4s equals 4.3. 4 4s equals 4.4. Takes 10 of 1 to equal the next step up. So it takes 10 4s to equal a 5. 10 5s to equal a 6. 10 6s to equal a 7. That's why I've set the threshold of an earthquake swarm at 10. 10 earthquakes in a spot. 10 2s in one spot equals about a 3. 10 3s in a spot equals about a 4. Do you follow me on that? That's my own addition. That's not in any textbook. I had to figure that out on my own as we're computing and adding magnitudes as they strike downstream from each other. Okay, what else? Mid-Atlantic Ridge. 5, 5, and 5. Well, 5, 5, and 4.9, which was downgraded to 4.7. But 3 sets of 5s going across the Mid-Atlantic Ridge to the south. Up to the north, I would expect the same thing. North Pole, Iceland, Azores. X, X, and X. The 3 X's should get hit or very close to it by the same size that's going on down to the south. The whole Mid-Atlantic Ridge should receive the tail end of the big push coming from all this. Am I missing anything? Hawaii. Aloha, Mr. Hand. Here we are on the big island of Hawaii, and all kinds of stuff going on out there. First of all, a 3 struck up at the crater of Mount Mauna Loa. Another 3 struck down here along the coast at Loihi out in the ocean. And another set of, well, near 3s, 2.7, 2.3, and a 2.2, struck at the Middle East Drift Zone. So, really, guys, come on. It's 3 of the same size quakes within a point of each other all the way around this. Do you see it? You can just play the connect the dots game, this square or ring of earthquakes. Who's right in the middle of there? Where my mouse is. Off the southeast side of Mauna Loa. Let's go show you. Big Island, here we come. I'm on my way. If I come, I'm taking over. I'm never leaving. A little Dutchlandia down here. I'll claim one of these undersea mounts and build my base out there. I'll move it from Australia. Okay, here we go. Right down here off the southeast side of Mauna Loa, this is Kilauea, the famous Kilauea. It crapped. It crapped all over you guys last year, and ever since then, it's just gone. I didn't mean to say that. Didn't mean to say crapped on you. But it did. It dropped a big, whatever, deuce over here on the side. Now, in the middle, it broke. It collapsed. That's what we're talking about, the Middle East Rift Zone. It's surrounded by earthquakes going up to the bigger volcano to the north and a noteworthy sized volcano to the south. And, of course, in the middle. That's where all the stress is coming from. And where's the real stress coming from that's causing this? The same thing that's causing a 40,000 foot high blast over in the West Pacific. The same thing that's causing new blasts to reach up across here into Kamchatka. And I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about a new volcanic event up here in Alaska pretty soon. Look, with Hawaii swarming 40K foot blast over in the West Pacific, come on. Don't be shocked if it happens. But the Big Island is really on an island chain or undersea mount chain that goes back up. That's the Hawaiian Island chain. And then it goes back and meets with the undersea mounts that go up into Kamchatka. And look, it comes right in up here where the flow is going across over into Alaska. If the push is big enough, it comes right down and goes over to Hawaii. And so if I see activity up here, I got to look down in Hawaii. If you see activity up here coming up towards Kamchatka, new volcanic blast, etc., you need to watch activity to increase down in Hawaii. Now, going across the Aleutians are 4 up in the Aleutians, actually on the plate boundary yesterday. A 4 up here, just north of Anchorage. Next to Harp again. Again, keeps happening now. Hey, did you guys see what happened last night down in San Diego? Oh my God. I'm not even going to show it to you. I don't want to get in trouble. My God. People all started reporting in some kind of explosive booms coming in here. And people are checking the seismograph, so they're checking the news. There's nothing. And I'm sitting there, I'm reading chat, I'm lurking. And I'm like, man, the one thing nobody's thinking to check. Why hasn't anybody checked the freaking radar? So I go and I open up the radar down in San Diego, the NEXRAD radar. And you can see it. 3 or 4 craft moving. I don't know if they were. I don't think it was hypersonic. Probably supersonic, though. 3 at least supersonic craft of some kind, leaving contrails coming down out of space or the highest upper atmosphere. And as they came down, they left contrails that were like, I don't know, 100 miles long. Then, as they came in, you could tell that they're coming down because they come through a certain level of the atmosphere and there's this giant disturbance on the radar. And the disturbance would be as a craft is coming back down from space or high altitude like that. There's going to be an electromagnetic cascade, electron cascade, that gets deposited in a certain layer of the atmosphere, like it's a wire picking up electricity. And so these craft come down, and you see this big ripple that shows on radar, and the National Weather Service is looking at these damn things with their weather radar. You can see the radar. It's pulsing. It's going off in the ocean. And then the 3 craft come in. Whoop. Then the big disturbance happens. The radar it looks like it's raining out there. And then it's gone. Oh, and then everybody reports booms and stuff and rumbles down in Southern California. But not like an earthquake. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh man, I could make a video on this. But man, I'd be kissing my channel goodbye if I do. Come on. It's military. Come on. What do you think it is? Some kind of super hypersonic craft and coming out of space, coming down to land at some freaking base out there. Put 2 and 2 together, guys. Come on. What else is happening? That's it. That's enough right there. You know, I didn't look up the earthquakes on the West Coast at all. We didn't even bother to look them up. Should I? I think I should. So let's go put in the 0.0 feed. This is going to show us everything for the last 24 hours, 0.0 and greater. It matters, all the small earthquakes and the felt events. So viewers who've paid attention for a long time should be able to see that this is a increase in the number of earthquakes across California for 24 hours, for instance. There's some days where we only have a handful. In this case, we have stacks. Stacks not just anywhere. Stack to the north, Clear Lake Volcano Geothermal Field, where they drilled in at the geysers, Geyserville, California. You click on the earthquakes, it'll tell you. It'll tell you Cobb, Anderson, or the geysers. And just pull the coordinates if you need to see it. I'm not going to waste too much time looking up this volcano, but the line of quakes going down through the Bay Area, look, Bay Area got hit directly, right next to Berkeley. And then east by southeast from there, we go right down here with our most recent. And this is the San Andreas. It's taking the shape of the San Andreas perfectly, the creeping section. Now, over to the east, we have a 1.8 and a 0.2, two small quakes, up next to Lake Tahoe. But that's Steamboat Springs Volcano there. So wait a second. We got Clear Lake Volcano moving on one side. It's a Steamboat Springs variant, if you will. It's just a bunch of turbines on the sides of hills here, next to Geyserville. And zooming in on the turbines, here's where the swarm is happening. Right where the previous false earthquake was reported. Here's a set of turbines, just for an example. They go over to drill points that go down a few hundred to a few thousand feet to get steam. That's where the stack of earthquakes is here. Over on the eastern side, over next to Lake Tahoe, same thing. So let's go over and show you. Right over here. Here's Lake Tahoe. Here's Steamboat Springs. And feel free to pause it and read it if you need to. But on the side of Steamboat Springs are all of these turbines. And I show them all the time. They get hit all the time. It's a predisposed weak point. Mother Nature's already weakened it from punching up from underneath, and then along come humans and drill in from up above. Now the 1.8 is on the western side of the California border, but let me show you what's really here. Why is there a geothermal field there at all? Oh wait, we got a bunch of hotspots there. From when? Today! A bunch of hotspots are there out there in the middle of the desert next to Pyramid Lake. By the way, guys, these hotspots, the computer says don't worry, it's just a mistake. But this right here, this giant oval shape that I've showed so many times in the past, this giant oval shape, I believe, and I think pretty accurate on this, is an ancient caldera. It's lined with its own smaller volcanoes. Look, there's hotspots around the outside edge. Earthquakes go around the outside that I'm showing you now. Again, earthquakes up here going around the outside edge of it. And it's the same shape as the supervolcano to the south. The confirmed supervolcano, right here. Long Valley Caldera. Long Valley Caldera, and it too is lined with volcanoes. Hey, look, two hotspots right in the middle of Long Valley Caldera. Computer's filtering them out. They're from last night. Don't worry, a bunch of hotspots around a supervolcano, nothing to worry about. Computer's filtering out. Sorry, I have to be sarcastic because everybody told me that the hotspots didn't mean anything, and actually, a whole group of professionals, can I even call them that? Professors, came in and tried to say that it was farmers burning their fields. Furthermore, they tried to shut me up and get me to stop talking about it by smearing me in an article written on Vice News, where they referenced Professor John Vidali from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, formerly, and the University of Southern California, where they were all denying hotspots, and even the article said that only I could see them. Here's the weather satellite feed. The hotspots are appearing in clusters around volcanic areas, power lines, and earthquake locations. I can't help it. That's just the way it is. It's the coolest thing in science in the 21st century to find an unintentional use for the weather satellite system, showing us normal wildfires, but for some reason it's able to pick up electromagnetic disturbances in the plate and show us those too, which is awesome, because then we can see electromagnetic disturbances, heated electrical areas that show up before earthquakes take place. Unintentionally. They didn't mean for it to happen. It's the coolest byproduct of some science shit that I've ever seen in my life. Yes, science shit, I can say that. I don't care anymore about being proper in science world. They all rejected when you put out your method on how to do it right, and your step-by-step directions, and your examples. They all mocked and ridiculed me and tried to shut me down when I was doing the research, so forgive me for not being very proper in trying to present myself. Okay, now, let's carry on down the California-Nevada border, where this cluster of quakes starts over at the supervolcano and goes over to Monte Cristo Hills Volcanic Butte. It's basically like a triangle of quakes right here, right at the California-Nevada border. Wait a second. Going from here, over to here, back up to here. A triangle of quakes. What's that? Well, it's all the hot spots I just showed you at the supervolcano that's there, with 1,000 cubic kilometers of melt down below, classifying it as a supervolcano. Do you think it's a coincidence that that's where the earthquakes and the hot spots are? It can't be, because they only are happening next to spots where we have big clusters of quakes or power stations. A few lone stray oddballs, maybe, where there is an actual fire, but the computer detects it as a fire. 700 or 800 degrees, puts a temperature on it. In this case, the computer is identifying it as 64,000 degrees and filtering it out because it doesn't know what to make of it. 64,000 degrees, hotter than 10 times the surface of the sun, please. So it's an electrical energy that the computer doesn't know how to read. Now, the lines of quakes tell the tale of a flow going across California's border, down here at the California-Nevada border, and going across the San Andreas out on the ocean, right along the seafront. But they both come together on the Garlock Fault and converge on Southern California, which is why I issued the warning for Salton Sea 5 days ago, when the 5.9s struck up here off the coast on the Juan de Fuca. That prompted me to issue the warning for Salton Sea. Salton Sea has now been hit, but now we have a new halfway point between our sets of earthquakes to the south and our sets of earthquakes to the north. Where does that come in? Well, to me, it all focuses right in here on the Mojave Desert. Put on the brakes, everybody! The Mojave Desert? Hey, wasn't there a guy about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, who was talking about something in the Mojave Desert? Oh, there it is. Giant plume of moisture bursts at California volcano Pisgah Crater. See on radar now a week ago. And then, 1 week later, 2 5.9s off the west coast of the northwest and a 5.2 down in Southern California. And where the rings overlap, that brings us out to the Mojave Desert out here. Here's the Lavic Lake. Oh, hey, a hot spot out there. When was this from? Today! There's a hot spot out in the desert at the Lavic Lake back here on the... Oh, my God. So this is the new halfway point between our current sets of quakes. Do you think that's a coincidence? Hey, we got a hot spot down in Southern California. Hold on. Where's this? What's going on here? Computer's filtering it out right now. Says it's just a mistake, but anytime I see a hot spot down in Southern California... we gotta pay attention to it. Let's find the nearest town and just see. There's Wildomar, Murrieta. This is California now. Fallbrook to the east by southeast. We are right on the edge of Redonda Mesa. Redonda Mesa. There's some houses that are here. Meadows Lake. Redonda Mesa, Meadows Lake. Hotspot in Southern California being detected right now. There's some down in Mexico, down next to their geothermal pumping operations within a mile. And these are all geothermal. You go over to the turbines. This is in Mexico. But next to it, that's where the other hotspots are. Hey, look at the fires over here in Arizona. We got actual fire. Oh, wait. Is it? There's a quarry there. Let's see. No, the computer's just filtering it out. It says it's not a fire anymore. It's just heat coming up from the quarry there in Arizona. Hey, don't I have a warning going right here in Arizona? Right down here at the Geronimo Volcanic Field where I just talked about the volcano and the American Geophysical Union nerd who said there was no volcano there and it actually turned out that this is? Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, hey, you know what? I'm glad I do this live so that people can see me discover it real time and try to figure out what's going on. Anything else? Let's go up the West Coast. Look at all the hotspots from yesterday marked in these orangish dots there. Those are all from yesterday. So today, I don't see many yet. I mean, we're going on 11 o'clock out on the West Coast, and we don't have any. We got one. Computer's filtering it out up here in Oregon. Hey, hold on. Look where it is, though. It's inside of our giant oval shape that the professionals tried to blame on glaciers. This is really due to the magma chamber for Yellowstone. There's a crescent shape. Here, hold on. There's a crescent shape. See the Snake River plain here? And all the volcanoes in it? You see how that goes right back up to this? Yeah. Professionals trying to say that that's from the Ice Age. Glaciers came down and formed it, Dutch. It made this perfect oval shape, just like the one down to the south that you mistook. Don't you love my impersonations of the eggheads? Brr, Dutch. Okay, what else? Anything else going on? I think that's good enough for now. This is an impromptu update, but the reason I'm recording it is because the East Coast got hit. New Jersey. Jersey got hit, guys. And the line of quakes going across the craton is unmistakable at this point, and anybody who was in denial about it needs to correct themselves. I tried to show this to the professionals, and they all denied it. The earthquakes going across the United States, they denied it. They said I was faking the quakes. I must be faking the earthquakes is what they said. Somehow. Faking the quakes. Faking the quakes to make a name for myself. And I said, you can make a name for yourself on earthquakes? This is back when I started my channel. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know. And it just, what we were seeing, again, for the last 10 years is a spread, a path of least resistance for this wave, this seismic wave that I showed you at the start of the broadcast. The standing wave that spreads out across the tank. And that these same-sized earthquakes are dropped off along the way. And instead of the professionals or all the people who said it couldn't happen being wrong, it was much easier for me to be the faker, I guess. Oh my gosh, you can get all the information from the USGS website on all these small earthquakes, so you don't even have to use Earthquake 3D. If you really want to take the time, you can go pull the small quake info and plot it yourself on a physical globe, I guess, in your office somewhere if you really want to. All right, we'll be back if anything else goes down. I want you to keep watch for large earthquake activity in the West Pacific in light of this 40,000-foot eye blast. Look, everybody from Indonesia back over to New Caledonia, it's about 5,000 miles across, needs to be aware of the 40,000-foot eye blast. The spots where we've warned are pretty specific. They're the middle points between our sets of quakes, so right down here in New Caledonia, and then right here at Solomon Island, Solomon Sea, where the rings overlap. So it's not like we're watching super huge areas. We watch the middle points between our sets of quakes across a huge area, though. And here's another set that overlaps here right at Papua New Guinea. And then we get back into where I started this update with the 40K foot blast. We're looking for 6.5 to spread out from here over to the west. I would encourage you to have an earthquake plan, and this is for real. I take the time to tell people this, but I don't think many people actually do it. I would just think about what you would do when an earthquake strikes. Are you going to take shelter underneath a table or a desk? If you're in bed in the middle of the night, do you have a set of slippers or shoes by the side of your bed? Those are the things that I would recommend first. So have a place to go underneath a table or a desk, wood or metal table or desk, not glass or plastic. You want to get underneath something that can withhold the falling weight of things that fall from the ceiling. Lamps, I don't know what else would fall. Drywall if it's not put up right. Now, it won't support, a desk or a table won't support a collapsing structure. So you may want to think about what you're going to do after the earthquake if the structure is compromised. I mean, are you going to stay inside for the entire time? Or are you going to have a pre-designated area outside after the earthquake's over that you could maybe go to? I wouldn't try to run there when the earthquake is happening unless you know the building is collapsing for some reason. I would take shelter, then have a place to go. If you're going outside, you might not be coming back in for a minute, maybe even a few days. So you need to have an emergency kit that has the appropriate things in it to get you through a couple days. Seasonal specific, that's the one that people forget about. So while you may be set for a winter type situation if you're in the Midwest here, do you have your emergency kit set for summer so you're not walking around in a sweatshirt in the middle of summer? Basic stuff like that. An extra set of keys, an extra debit card. Yeah, those kind of things are all given. You probably should already have that stuff, right? So if you don't, get it and then put it into the emergency kit, the extra ID and the extra debit card. Just reminding you, not trying to be too harpy, but in this day and age, you got to keep telling people over and over again. And then they want to debate you on it, you know? Everybody knows better, right? Okay, guys, we're good. I'm saving this, actually. Even though this is an impromptu update, a little bit goofy, joking around a little bit, I'm still going to save this and go upload it over on YouTube. Everybody needs to see that Jersey was struck. Because I had to put up with a lot of abuse for 10 freaking years, and I think an apology is owed. But I'm not going to get it, of course, but I got to make an example out of all this, because if I don't, it just is left unsaid. They said earthquakes couldn't be forecast and accused me of fraud. So here's Jersey getting hit. I've got to come out and toot my own horn. Who else is going to do it? Name me what some other YouTube video maker? What is Dabu going to come out and be like, oh, Dutch Sense got it right. Hey, congratulations, Dutch. No, they all hate me. They all hate me. Every one of them, man. I don't know why. I never even talked to the guys. But no one's going to come out and tell you about me getting it right. They're going to all, whatever. I would say to everybody, and these are words for the wise for everyone, don't hate the player. Hate the game. Peace out, guys.